So the update is small change. First, talk about our goals that changes. Sure. Sky Fury. Throughout Dragonfly and the War Within's development, the topic of raid buffs has been actively discussed, and we've come to the decision to add a new raid buff to the Shaman class. Our goal with this buff is for it to fully replace the Windfury Totem buff previously brought by Enhanced Shamans and grant Elemental and Restoration access to a raid buff to encourage their value in raids. Sky Fury incorporates the previous effect Windfury Totem had of activating additional auto attack swings with a small mastery buff. Players may also note that this is lifting the party-wide restriction previously in place on Windfury Totem and turning it into a guaranteed raid effect. Okay, so Shamans are getting a passive buff of auto attack swings and mastery. That's kind of insane. I wonder how much mastery it is, dude. Dude, Shaman Cleaves might be so insane. Shaman Cleaves might be so disgusting. Oh, that's not good news for Wiz. Wiz does not like that on the Priest. But, well, I guess we'll just play. I guess we've already shown that we can just do that because we played Red DH and just mirrored people, so. Alright, looks like we're playing Shaman Cleaves. Sounds good to me. So, class tree. For the Shaman class tree, we've reduced the node count of defense and throughput nodes to allow most of the decision making in the tree to focus on picking up different pieces of utility. There will also be some new toys to help with group utility and personal survivability. Pathing has been improved in okay, so that's good because the Shaman class tree was kind of weird, honestly. It wasn't terrible like other specs are. Like, I think Druid has a pretty rough class tree. Pathing has been improved in a variety of ways, and the previously potentially restricted locations of Gust of Wind and Spirit Walk and Earthshield have been changed to be easier to pick up. We feel this frees up points for more compelling decisions elsewhere without having to compromise movement or defensiveness to such a large degree. Okay, so we already kind of saw that. This is the Shaman tree right now. We can see where Spirit Wolf is. We can see the Wolf Affinity talent that is kind of garbo. We can see Gust of Wind and Spirit Walk down here, as well as Earthshield high in the tree. And this is the new tree. Earthshield connects to Lava Burst, actually. Oh, wow. So, oh, okay. So as other specs, you actually get a free point because you don't have to spec into Chain Heal as like enhance. And then obviously you can see that Spirit Walk got moved up. So Spirit Walk was normally down here underneath the Hex talent, and that got changed to be up top. So now Spirit Walk's up top. Okay, so they put Refreshing Waters onto the class tree as well. Okay, so now you have to spec into Spirit Walkers. You didn't have to spec into Spirit Walkers before, but it looks like you have to now because you need AG. And to get there, you have to go through Spirit Walkers. Okay. Elemental. Elemental's update focused on scaling their proc rates to be more consistent between AoE and single target situations, allowing for things such as Lava Burst to have more of an impact on their rotation, improving the talent tree layout. I feel like that's hilarious because I feel like Lava Burst already is like all their damage, but I guess this is PvE too. Like this is counting PvE damage. That's pretty funny to read. Want to empower elite shamans to be able to specialize as lightning focused, lava focused, or weaving between all the elements and have distinct builds within each of these options. So we've kind of seen that with some of the shaman talents. Like we saw people playing like the lightning build and saw that on the beta. Resto. A Restoration Shaman update condensed the availability of damage-focused nodes in the specialization tree to free up more points to decide on healing profiles and more core nodes such as Ascendance and Tidebringer into more available locations. Want Resto Shaman to feel like they have multiple compelling options to reach the heavily desired nodes on their tree. We've also focused on increasing the effectiveness of a few core Resto Shaman spells we feel have fallen behind. The two most notable spells are Healing Surge and Spiritling Totem. In Healing Surge's case, players will notice more bonuses to the spell to allow players who are looking to utilize the spell more effectively. And for Spiritling, we're returning Spouting Spirits Azure trait with a twist of splash healing to make it strong in any group content. Healing Rain is also seeing new bonuses focused on increasing effectiveness. So we saw this earlier when we logged on. They changed the place of Healing Rain in the talent tree. They swapped it with Deluge. And then, like we said, they also added they added the Azurite trait back from BFA, where Spirit Link healed you during its duration. So that's pretty interesting. Makes Spirit Link more effective, makes people have to actually kill the totem. I don't know how much value you'll get from that from PvP, because people normally are pretty quick to kill it, but interesting change. At least you have an option. For enhancement, we've generally been pleased with the state and talent diversity of their specialization trees, so we're approaching it with a lighter touch. We focused on baselining a few of their core spells and utility within their healing specialization to allow more optionality in both the core and spec trees. Okay. So enhance isn't getting too much. They're just kind of making it easier and better. Here we go, the class tree. So we can actually bounce between that and see the difference. Many talents have moved or have had their location pushed in all trees. So new abilities: Sky Fury. Harness the fury of the Windlord to grant a target ally 2% mastery and empower their auto attacks to have a chance to instantly strike again for 1 hour. Oh, so it's a buff. And then you, okay, so it's literally like 4, like you said. So it's like you get an actual casted buff on Shaman. Dude, if you can purge this, that's actually kind of cool. Now you can have more dispel protection, which is always a nice thing. I mean, I'll take that. I'll take more dispel protection, dude. I fucking hate getting purged. I think everyone hates getting purged. And that's coming from a Shaman player, dude. Okay, so you get a 2% mastery buff for everyone, which is, I mean, that's all right. And then you get Wind Fury. So, I mean, this makes Shaman Cleaves way better. So Shaman Cleaves have kind of been a thing of the past unless casters are really good. Like we saw that in the tournament where, you know, Shamans were good and Rets and DHs, and the meta had a lot of casters and especially Boomkin. So Shaman Cleaves were more valuable. And I think this talent, once again, makes it more valuable. So like Shaman Warrior, I think Shaman DK helps too, because you're going to get more auto attacks, which means you're going to get more Death Coil procs. Shaman DH can be better too, because you get more Fury regen. So pretty interesting buff. Yeah, 2% is a lot for some specs for sure. Because you have some specs that don't even stack mastery, so they just get free damage. So 2% mastery is like pretty insane for some specs, without a doubt. Ooh, they brought back damage reduction. So Shaman has had healing stream damage reduction for elements since like Kata. And I guess they brought that back. So that's pretty cool. Because they had it in Kata, they had it in Mop, they had it in WAD. They're bringing that back, I guess. Elements resistance. Healing from healing stream reduces fire, frost, and nature damage received by 6% for 3 seconds. Okay, so that's pretty cool to have. So that's going to go here, I think. We looked at the tree already. Healing Stream has a talent point underneath it that doesn't exist yet on the beta. They haven't put in the actual talent yet. They just put in the placeholder. So we can just assume that elemental resistance will go here underneath Healing Stream. Okay. Sky Fury, I think, is also going to go up top. So Sky Fury is it's a new ability, not a talent. Oh yeah, so this is a passive. Okay, so this isn't even a talent. This is a talent. Elements resistance. Okay. So refreshing waters, healing surge, heals yourself 25% more. We saw this. This is on the Resto tree currently. Right here. This is on the right side of the Resto Shaman tree between Master of the Elements. It's between Master of the Elements and Refreshing Waters. They changed that and they made it a class talent, which we can see here in the new tree underneath Stream to the left and underneath your double shield talent. Okay. Oh, wow. So, yeah, you're right. They did make Traveling Storms and Season Winds, which are honor talents. They changed them into class talents. Okay, dude, Shaman might be really fucking fun. Shaman might be so fun next expansion. So your honor talent, Refreshing or Traveling Storms, which is actually really good to play. It's just hard to drop Static Field and obviously like Living Tide. So now that's just going to be a regular talent. So this is the old tree here. You had to go to Thunderstorm, and then you have to choose between Thundershock and Lasso. Thundershock is the knock-up that gives you CDR also. And Traveling Storms is just an honor talent that buffs Thunderstorm and Thundershock. Now, Traveling Storms is going to be a talent, and you're going to choose it between the knock-up and Traveling Storms. And Lightning Lasso is now its own choice node, or its own talent point. So pretty interesting changes there with the tree. Season Winds, interrupting a spell with Wind Shear. We saw this. They nerfed it to 2 stacks instead of 3. This talent is insanely OP and valuable into casters. However, you typically only play this talent if you're playing Ellie or Enhance, because you can't really afford the talent point. Like, you can't really afford the honor talent loss on Resto. So typically Ellie Shaman and Enhance Shaman are the only ones that can play this honor talent. But now in the next expansion, this is going to be a baseline class talent. Yeah, it's really good into shadow play. Really good into shadow play. So typically Ellie and Enhance can only play it. I talked to Joxy about this, who's a really good healer, really good shaman, and he started dropping static for Season Winds even on Resto, which is pretty interesting. He does that currently, so into like shadow play, because I mean it just makes it so you can't die ever and you take 0 damage. So this talent typically is used 1% of the time on Resto Shaman, whereas Ellie and Enhance can use it a lot more. Now this is going to be a class talent. That's pretty insane. So encasing cold and Arctic snowstorm. So that's going to be here underneath Frost Shock. You're going to have 2 different talents between it's an additional 10% slow. So Shamans are going to have a 60% slow and it's longer duration with Frost Shock. Frost Shock also has no cooldown still, so that's pretty interesting. You get a AoE slow with Frost Shock. I don't know how often you'll play this. I feel like you don't really need Frost Shock as Shaman anymore, as Resto at least. So there is a chance maybe you'd play it because the slow is going to be better, but not too sure. Kind of up for grabs there. A new talent, Ascending Air. The cooldown of Windrush Totem is reduced by 30 seconds. Its movement speed lasts an additional 2 seconds. Okay, so that's going to be here. That also has a choice node. That's going to be underneath Windrush Totem here. Enhanced Imbues. The effects of your weapon imbues are increased by 20%. Hey, where is that going to go? Is that also under Windrush Totem, or is that maybe underneath Nature's Fury? Jetstream is under Windrush Totem. Okay, so Windrush Totem is going to have 2 different talents to pick in this choice node. Stone Bulwark Totem. Summons an Earth Totem at the feet of the caster, granting the caster a shield absorbing damage for 10 seconds. Oh, wow. So Shaman's getting a shield talent again. Okay, so Shaman is getting a... Oh, Season Winds is here. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so Season Winds is all the way down the tree. So that's pretty interesting. You might be able to use this. There is a chance that you could use Season Winds, or like you can find points for it. Okay. The Stone Bulwark Totem. You get a shield, and then you get a shield every 5 seconds. And it lasts 10 seconds. So you get a 10-second shield when you press it, and then you get 2 more shield procs. It's like 200k per tick on the beta. I mean, that's still an interesting cooldown. I don't know how good that is. If it's only going to be 600k total, I mean, on the beta, that's what? That's like 7% of your health. Not too sure if that's going to be good or not, but it's interesting. So another option. Jetstream, we saw this. Here we go. Primordial Bond. New talent. This is in the class tree. While you have an Ellie active, your damage taken is reduced by 5%. So Earth Ellie got moved from this tree over here where it goes into Earth Grab all the way to the right. Okay, so now you can actually spec... Oh, so that's pretty cool. You can spec into Earth Ellie from Chain Lightning because Brimming with Life is really good to have. It's just more HP, which you need on a Shaman because you can die. And then your totem scale with your HP also. So you get more health and more totem HP. And then you can also spec into Earth Ellie a lot easier, which specs into this. So Earth Ellie already makes you tankier, and then you get another damage reduction. So you get 15% health and 5% damage reduction with Earth Ellie. I mean, shit, dude, I'll take it. Like, 5% damage reduction against melee cleaves, I'll take it, dude. Voodoo Mastery has been redesigned. Your Hex target is slowed by 70% during Hex, and for 6 seconds after it ends, reduces the cooldown by 15 seconds. Okay, so they changed Voodoo Mastery to just be 1 talent. So Voodoo Mastery before, it was between Voodoo Mastery, which is CDR, and then Enfeeblement, which is the slow. And they just made that 1 talent. They just changed it into 1 actual talent point. So pretty cool, I guess. Flurry got moved to the Enhanced tree. This should have been done in the beta of Dragonflight. I have no idea why Shaman has Maelstrom Weapon and Fury, or Flurry. That makes 0 sense to me. Never understood that, really. I never really understood why you had Maelstrom Weapon and Flurry in the class tree, but they finally changed that, so that's pretty cool. Cooldown of Gust of Wind has been reduced to 20 seconds, was 30. Yeah, so Gust of Wind was baseline 30 seconds. Now it's going to be 20, and Gust of Wind's up here. Damn, Shaman might be so fun next expansion, dude. So they removed Flurry from the class tree and just put it to the Enhanced tree. We talked about that. This should probably just be a passive, but I mean, it should just not be in the class tree. It doesn't really make sense for it to be there. Gust of Wind cooldown reduced to 20 seconds, was 30. So there is a chance that Shaman can play Gust of Wind a lot next patch or next expansion and can be really slippery. So we'll see how that goes. Following talents are now 1 point. So Totemic Focus, Elemental Warding, Nature's Guardian, Winds of Alakir, Nature's Fury, Totemic Surge are all 1 point. So those are these talents here. 1 point talent here, 1 point talent here. Totemic Surge is 1 talent. or 1 point. Totemic Focus is 1 point. Nature's Guardian 1 point. So I don't think you have any 2-point talents anymore, right? I don't think Shaman has any more 2-point talents. Oh no, you have one here. So you don't have a single 2-point talent in the class tree, which is pretty crazy. Not a single point here is 2 points. Not a single talent node. So you have 4 talent nodes in the Resto tree that have 2 points, and every other point in the class tree and the Resto tree is 1 point, which is pretty insane compared to this, right? You have 2 points in Swirling, 2 points in Warding, 2 points in Nature's Guardian, 2 points in Focus, 2 points in Surge, 2 points in Waves. So that changes a lot already. Okay, so let's see. The following talents have been removed. Go with the Flow. What is Go with the Flow? Oh, this is the Ghost Wolf CDR, right? Like Gust of Wind CDR. Okay, so they removed the CDR from that. They removed Flurry. They removed Maelstrom Weapon. They removed Enfeeblement, which is the Hex slow that we talked about. They just put that into 1 talent. Oh my god, I didn't even realize they took away Tranquil Totem and Stone Skin. So as far as PvP goes, that is a huge, huge change. Because Stone Skin Totem is insanely effective against melee. Warrior, Hunter, Feral Druid, Windwalker Monk. Stone Skin is insane. So that is a huge removal. Now they replaced it with Stone Bulwark, which is only a shield for the Shaman. Okay, so Shamans are losing damage reduction for melee. Interesting. You're losing Tranquil Air. Tranquil Air had its place. It wasn't the greatest, but it did have its place. Ancestral Defense. That's the Leech talent and AoE reduction. Surging Shields and Swirling Currents. Surging Shields is this one, right? So the shield healing, which I think they just buffed your shield healing and your healing stream because they removed these talents. Hero talents, Farseer. Undulation can now trigger Call the Ancestors. Oh, okay. So, I mean, the way they type this makes me think that Undulation, your Undulation heal, which is every 3rd healing surge or wave does more, that procs an Ancestor instead of Unleash. Because the only way to proc Ancestors with NS, or like on demand, is with NS or Unleash Life. But Unleash Life and Undulation are a talent. Like, are the same talent. So, okay, so they just made Undulation work with it. That's cool. Healing from Chain Heal from Totemic Rebound increased by 400%. Okay, so Totemic Rebound is the Chain Heal proc, right? Chain Heal now jumps to a nearby totem within 20 yards once it reaches its max targets, causing the totem to cast Chain Heal. Oh, okay, so Chain Heal bounces to totems also, and they're making that do a shit ton more. Interesting. Restoration Shaman. When you cast Healing Rain, each ally with your Riptide on them is healed. So that's not in the game yet. That's not on the talent tree yet. So that I feel like is going to be underneath Primal Tide Core or down here underneath Deluge. First Ascendant. The cooldown of Ascendance is reduced by 60 seconds. We talked about this earlier. This is going to be underneath the Ascendance talent, obviously. It's going to be here. You're going to have a choice node between this and the other talent they added, which is a 25% haste buff while Ascendance is active and increased duration. Which honestly, for a Shaman, I don't even know which one you would rather play, because the WoW brain in me is telling me that you're easily going to play the cooldown one every time and you're not going to play anything else. I feel like 2-minute Ascendance cooldown is super valuable compared to haste and 3-second duration. Unless the duration increase also applies to your procs. Because if the duration increase from this talent applies to an Ascendance proc is 6 seconds. So if the new talent, your Deeply Rooted Elements here is a 6-second Ascendance proc. So I feel like you're most likely going to play First Ascendant every time because the CDR is too big. You have a 2-minute cooldown instead of 3. However, if this talent here, if Preeminence works with the proc and you go from a 6-second proc to a 9-second proc, there is a chance that you will play this talent instead. There's a chance. So we'll see. But obviously these two talents here are going to go down here underneath Ascendance, We can assume that Tidewaters is probably going to go underneath Deluge, because this is where all the Healing Rain talents are. You have Healing Rain, you have Acid Rain, you have Overflowing Shores. These are all in the same area. So one can only assume that that's where Riptide Healing Rain talent's going to be. It's also right next to Torrent, which also makes me think it's going to be there. New talent, Reactive Warding. When refreshing Earth Shield, your target is healed for each stack of Earth Shield they're missing. When refreshing Water Shield, you're refreshed. So this is an insane talent. I can't even believe this is an actual talent. So now, whenever you refresh Earth Shield, you're getting an instant heal from refreshing it. For example, if you refresh Earth Shield right now, you have 9 stacks. And let's say you refresh it at 2 stacks. Earth Shield typically will do, let's see. Let's get an increase on the buff. Earth Shield's going to be what? Like 50k. So, as of right now, using the numbers on Dragonflight, you would heal for, what is that? 400,000. If that talent existed in Dragonflight, you would heal somebody for 400,000, which is a third of your health. Like, that is insane. That is absolutely insane. So this talent might be crazy. When refreshing Water Shield, you're refunded mana for each stack of Water Shield missing. This is also a crazy talent for those who don't know. Water Shield right here, as you can see, Water Shield is has 9 charges now. So if you refresh Water Shield, once again, same thing. If you refresh Water Shield at like 1 or 2 stacks, or just in general, whenever you refresh it, you're going to be getting like 10% mana. So, I mean, that's got to be nerfed immediately, right? Like, there's no way they let that stay in the game. They have to nerf that. They have to nerf that. There's no chance. I really doubt that this talent here doesn't get nerfed to like half effectiveness or something, because this is insane. I mean, basically, if you're fighting a team that's ever attacking you on a shaman, you're not going to go ever. It's literally impossible. It is completely impossible. So they're definitely going to nerf that. They have to nerf that. So that's going to go underneath Water Shield, I think, or underneath Resurgence. New talent, White Water. Your critical heals have a 215% effectiveness. Where the fuck is that going to go? Also, this talent right here, this crit heal talent, this is just this is from the tier set. So this was your tier set before in season 1 and in season 4 now for Dragonflight. This was your 4 set. So this is just going to be a talent now. Weak ores being made for it as we speak. Dude, people are already making weak ores for it. So disgusting. So this is a pretty cool talent. So Spirit Link also gives more damage reduction, and it's going to heal every second. So this was a talent. Half of this was an Azurite trait in BFA, where your Spirit Link healed you every second it was down. And then if you guys remember, you also had the talent. You had the Honor talent. It made Spirit Link just a passive tether, and that also gave you HPS, which was super broken until they eventually nerfed it and then removed it. So now Spirit Link's going to give 15% damage reduction instead of 10, and it's going to heal every second. I don't know how big this is for PvP, to be honest, because people always kill totems. Procs after the heal, I think. I don't think it procs immediately. I think the heal starts after the totem is down, yes. So, yo, Camo, what up? So I think this talent, I don't know how useful this is going to be for PvP. People are super quick at killing totems now, especially because of weak ores and stuff. So I don't know how good this talent's going to be, but I mean, it is an interesting option. Spirit Walker's Tidal Totem has been redesigned. After using Manatide Totem, the cast time of your next healing surges is reduced. Wait, what? Okay. Everyone follow along with me again. Everyone follow along once again. We're going to reread this because I feel like my eyes are deceiving me. Spirit Walker's Tidal Totem has been redesigned. After using Manatide, the cast time of your next 3 healing surges is reduced by 100%. And their mana cost is reduced by 50%. Okay, so this talent here is garbage for PvP. This talent for PvP is complete garbage. The cast time and mana cost of your healing wave and chain heal is reduced by 50% for 10 seconds. So typically when you play Manatide, you'll either just play Manatide, only Manatide, or you'll play 1 point in more duration and range. And now you have an option to play Spirit Walker's Tidal Totem. Okay, so that's pretty insane. That is actually ridiculous. So that obviously makes Mana Tide more valuable. That's a pretty ridiculous talent, man. Getting 3 instant healing surges with low mana cost, especially because I think healing surge... So this is really big because healing surge already does decent healing. And obviously you're going to have stronger tidal. So as far as the War Within goes, your healing surge does good healing, and your tidal waves is also stronger in the next expansion because your tier set buffs your tidal waves. On top of that, every heal that you cast gets replicated by your ancestors. So if you bomb 3 healing surges with your tidal waves buff, so you have extra chance to crit and you have your ancestor out, like you have just a really powerful NS basically. Like you basically have 3 Nature Swiftness to use. So this talent is insane. And this talent gives Shaman something that it hasn't had in a long time, which is actual burst healing instead of just mashing Riptide over and over and like trying to like sustain everybody slowly. I mean, this talent is super broken. Like this is crazy. So Master of the Elements. So like they talked about up here in their overview for Shaman and what they want to do, they wanted to put a lot of focus on Healing Surge and Spirit Link. So as you can see, we'll read it again. We've also focused on increasing the effectiveness of a few core Shaman spells that have fallen behind. The 2 most notable spells here are Healing Surge and Spirit Link Totem. So they mentioned above that they wanted to make Spirit Link and Healing Surge stronger and have talents to help that. And we're seeing that now with their talents where, you know, we're getting instant healing surges with low mana costs. And they're also redesigning Master of the Elements to make it so Lava Burst increases the healing of your next healing surge by 30%. Once again, stacking up to 2 times. Okay, so dude, this is insane. Master of the Elements has been redesigned. Casting Lava Burst increases the healing of your next healing surge by 30%, stacking up to 2 times. Healing Surge applies Flame Shock to a nearby enemy when empowered by Master of the Elements. Okay, so now, keep in mind, Shaman Lava Surge has been removed from the Resto Shaman tree and has been made a passive talent that you learn at like level 10. So you learn it at a low level to get instant Lava Surge, Lava Burst procs, you get Lava Surge. So that is now just an ability that you learn at a low level. You don't have to talent into it anymore. It's already going to be possible for Shaman to keep up Flame Shocks, or to be able to be aggressive and, you know, Flame Shock and Lava Burst people. But now, when you Lava Burst, if you spec into Master of the Elements, you're going to get a Healing Surge buff, and you're also going to apply Flame Shock to a nearby enemy. Now you're going to be able to keep up Flame Shock simply by weaving in your Lava Burst and your healing. So this is a pretty insane talent, man. I mean, I talked about this before. Shaman before this rework, in my opinion, was probably going to be the best healer on the beta. It was going to be between Shaman and Druid, because the Shaman Farseer talent, it doesn't actually work right now. Hopefully it works later today. But the ancestors from Farseer are really broken. And I've been saying that if they worked, Shaman will probably be the best healer on the beta, along with Resto Druid. And I feel like these changes here are definitely going to make it the best. Like, these are crazy talents, man. Improved Earth Living Weapon has been redesigned. Earth Living receives 150% additional benefit from Mastery. Healing Surge always... Oh my god. Dude, this is insane. I think Pally's really good. I think Pally and Holy Priest are really good. I think Evoker's really good. And then Druid is insane. Okay, so improved healing or Earth Living here. Dude, this is a crazy talent. What? I am actually going to destroy people next expansion. I am reading this and it's like all of these changes, not only do they make the class more fun and just more fucking OP, to be honest, But a lot of these changes revolve around being very proactive on Shaman, which is something that I feel like I do better than most. Yeah, I'm actually going to destroy everyone on this class. This is so disgusting. Dude, these changes are so ridiculous. Okay, so we talked about this, right? This was the last thing. Improved Earth Living. So Earth Living right now, as it stands, is probably like 4% of your healing, 5% of your healing. Especially if you're low. If your team is rotting a lot, Earth Living is normally between like 3 to 5%. So now, not only does Healing Surge always put up Earth Living with this new talent, but Earth Living is going to get 150% benefit from your mastery, which is insane. So now your mastery is going to be what? If I have 100% mastery, my Earth Living is going to have 200. Your Earth Living is going to have 250% more healing, dude. If they're 1% health, what the fuck? Okay, so this isn't 150% benefit. This is 150% additional benefit. So once again, Earth Living, if somebody is, let's just say half HP. If somebody's half HP and you have 100% mastery, they will receive like 125% healing from Earth Living. More healing instead of 50. I mean, that is just ridiculous, dude. Like, Earth Living is going to be so good. Okay, Earth and Harmony has been redesigned. So we saw this earlier. Earth and Harmony has been redesigned. Earth Shield reduces damage taken by 5%, and its healing is increased by up to 150% as the target's health decreases. Maximum benefit reached below 50%. So basically, they just redesigned this talent and made it so that you're always getting additional Earth Shield healing, and then the max is below 50. Whereas right now, you only get the benefit below. You get the benefit below 70%, 75%. So below 75% right now, you get 100%. You get 100% healing on Earth Shield if your target is below 75%. So now they changed it to where you're always getting a healing increase. And this is also going to work with your mastery too. So this is going to be insane. But now you're always getting an increase. And then the max benefit is 50 and below. So this is a crazy talent as well. Yeah, I don't know if this is going to function with reactive warding. Because obviously if Earth and Harmony functions with reactive warding, then like one of these is going to get nerfed. Because that is like way more broken than anything. If your reactive warding talent is going to be buffed by this, then that is just that has to be nerfed, or it's going to be a problem. Downpour has been redesigned. Casting a healing rain activates Downpour, allowing you to cast Downpour within 6 seconds. Downpour is that burst heal, right? Like the burst heal, Gifted the Queen type shit that we had in Legion. So burst of water, the target location heals up to 500 allies with 12 yards and increase their max health. Okay, so this is just Gifted the Queen from Legion, your artifact spell. But they changed it to be activated when you healing rain. And then it looks like Downpour is going to be twice as strong if you're playing Totemic. So pretty interesting there. Don't think you'll ever play this in PvP, but I mean, they're putting in a lot of effort for all these talents, man. What is happening? Living Stream has been redesigned. Now increases healing stream healing by 100%, decaying over its duration. So, I mean, this is crazy. Like, this talent right here makes it even more important to immediately kill totems than before. Right now, it's important to kill totems, but typically if you can kill a healing stream within a few seconds of it being active, then you reduce a lot of the shaman's healing, because right now every tick of healing stream gets increased as the totem is alive, or as the totem's active. With this talent, if people kill your totems halfway through, you still got the majority of your healing out. So now people are going to have to actually kill stream as fast as they possibly can. So like, this is a crazy talent change. Lava Surge, we talked about this, got removed, and now it's a passive. This is fucking insane. This makes me really happy because I always like playing with Lava Surge, and it's annoying to put a talent into the tree. And this is something that I really liked about Legion Shaman, is Lava Surge got added to Resto in Legion, and it just made the class feel very fluid, which I liked. Current control now reduces the cooldown of healing type totem by 45 seconds, was 30. Okay, so that's going to be, yeah, current control here, which is between that and Tide Turner. I mean, you might play current control now because it's additional CDR. Now you're gonna have Healing Tide Totem be a 1 minute 15 second CD instead of a 90-second CD if you play the CDR talent. So chance you can play that. Manatide's 40-yard radius. Was it 30 before? Manatide was actually 20 before. Very interesting. This is what I was really excited about. Okay, so this is one of the talents I was really excited about. They changed Ancestral Awakening to be a 20% base chance to get extra healing. So 20% base chance to proc Ancestral Awakening instead of only being crits. And now Ancestral Awakening is going to be a 40% chance when you crit. So Ancestral Awakening right now is a talent that procs off your Healing Surge, Healing Wave, and your Riptide. And it only procs if you have a crit. So if you crit, then it'll proc the extra heal. Now it's going to be a chance throughout the game, and then you have a higher chance when you crit. So this is pretty cool. I kind of like that they made that because Ancestral Awakening was always nice for Shaman. The only problem that I have, I would say, when I think about Shaman overall is that a lot of these talents are really cool and make the class feel very proactive, but they're adding a lot of RNG elements to the class, which I find a bit weird. So you're going to have Ancestral Awakening, which is going to be RNG. And then you're also going to have your Farseer talent and your Ascendance procs, which are entirely RNG. So your Farseer talent, you can summon an Ancestor by pressing Unleash, and you can summon one by pressing your Nature Swiftness. However, your Riptide can also proc one, and your Ancestor's Fading can also proc one. And then you're also procking Ascendance. So it's like they're adding a lot of RNG to Shaman, which I guess we'll just see how it feels at the end of the day. So current control, we read this. CDR on Healing Tide. Manatide's 40 yards. Ancestral Awakening, they changed. Torrent now gives increased chance to crit on Riptide. So Torrent is more healing on Riptide, more initial healing, and it's also now going to give you more crit chance. So this is fucking insane. I mean, yeah, that's just that. This is just an insane talent. Your entire spec is revolved around Riptide. So this is just a ridiculous talent if you're going to be getting more healing because you're critting Riptide. Water Totem Mastery now activates on a chance, but its effect has been increased to 3 seconds of reduction. So this talent here is every time you spend a Tidal Wave stack, you get a 0.5 second CDR on all of your water totems. And now this is going to be RNG on your Tidal Wave usage, but it's going to be a 3 second CDR. So, I mean, this talent's okay. Like, Water Shield Mastery is definitely decent, especially if you're casting a lot. There is a chance that you will use more Tidal Wave charges in the next expansion because your tier set revolves around Tidal Waves too. So there is a chance that you might be using more charges and casting a little bit more, or at least having the option to, which makes this talent even better. Water Shield has 9 charges. We talked about that. That is a crazy change. Personally, I don't really know how I feel about that in regards to PvP. I feel like there are a lot of shamans at high rating and at all ratings that aren't very good with Water Shield uptime because it's only 3 charges and it's really hard to keep up the buff all the time when you're fighting, you know, any sort of melee, or you're fighting demo locks or anything with a pet that's attacking you. So I feel like this takes away a little bit of the skill cap for the class, but overall, not the worst thing. Primordial Wave is now a 30-second cooldown instead of 45. They took away the other talent from Primordial Wave. You can see down here, they took away Tumbling Waves, Continuous Waves, and Improved Primordial Wave, which was Improved Primordial Wave was more healing on your copied Healing Wave, and then Tumbling and Continuous were the proc and the CDR. So now they just made it 30 seconds baseline. That's a pretty insane change. Acid Rain is 5 enemies now instead of 6 and has a damage buff. So this is a huge buff to Acid Rain, which once again, we talked about Totemic. This is going to make Totemic better as well because Acid Rain damage is actually pretty good right now on the beta. So if you can play Surging Totem and if you can play Totemic, then Acid Rain has a chance to be pretty useful, and Totemic in general has more value there. Overflowing Shores now heals 5 targets, was 6. That is the this thing, right? Yeah, so that's the instant heal with anyone that has Riptide. Oh wait, no, did they change that? Oh no, it's just the instant heal. Okay, so the instant heal from your healing rain is now buffed. This never really did too much healing, but a buff is a buff. Wave Speaker's Blessing is now a 2-point talent. So that is the Riptide duration, which is getting buffed down here. I don't know if you're going to play this as Resto. That talent right now makes Riptide a 21 second buff, or it's going to be 24 seconds instead of 18. Right now, there's only 1 point, and it makes it a 21 second buff. You never even pick this talent, and it's honestly because you don't go down the tree. Like, you don't ever go down this side of the tree to get to Wave Speakers. However, in the next expansion, this talent is down here. So there is a chance you can get it, but I doubt you'll ever play this. You don't really need extra Riptide duration. You're going to have an infinite number of Riptides already if you play Farseer. And Primordial being a 30-second CD that also applies Riptide instead of 45-second. You're basically never going to have to worry about the Riptide Hot falling off. And the Riptide Hot doesn't really do much anyways, so I don't know. This change doesn't really apply to PvP, I don't think. I don't think this is going to count, or I don't think this is going to be taken ever. The following talents are now 1 point: Tidebringer, Deluge, Improved Earth Living. These talents were removed: Resonant Waters, Flash Flood, Stormkeeper, Refreshing Waters. Refreshing Waters we saw was put to the class tree also. So yeah, there we go, guys. That was the Resto Shaman. Those were all the Resto Shaman changes. The rework for the War Within. Yeah, so my thoughts on that. Conclusion here. I think all of these changes are insane. They made the talent trees a lot easier to navigate through because they made every single node 1 point except for 4. I think there are 4 total nodes in the Shaman tree, class, and Resto that are 2 points, and everything else is 1. So they basically made it a lot easier to get talents on Shaman and to navigate through the tree. And they also, because of these new talents they added, have had a lot of they've added a lot of design changes that allow the class to be more proactive. And what I mean by that is Shaman typically is a healer that you're very momentum based, but you're also a class that revolves a lot around being pigeonholed into one sort of play style throughout a game. So over the course of time, Shaman went from like you keep up your buffs and you heal to you have a ton of utility and you have to use that to now you can be offensive and do a lot of damage, and you also have offensive utility with your knock and your short hex, and you had Hex Totem and Legion, to back to kind of being the Shaman pillar, so to speak, where you're playing with tanky classes and you're kind of just PvE healing and being disruptive, but it's all defensive. And now we're in Dragonflight where you can be offensive and defensive, but typically you're kind of stuck playing one style throughout a game with little opportunity to do kind of change how you're playing and be proactive. And I think these changes right here are going to make it so Shaman is going to benefit a lot from being proactive, which means playing the class next expansion, as long as they get the tuning right and like certain talents that are really OP right off the bat, like Earthen Harmony, especially if Earthen Harmony functions with reactive warding, which is your mana and heal benefit when you refresh your shields. If the tuning is right, Shaman is most likely going to be a healer that benefits from playing a very proactive style, which means you're not just playing one way and you're not only like reacting to healing. You're doing damage, you're using your utility, you're landing kicks, you're landing CC, you're landing purges, you're also healing, you're also CCing people with roots and knocks and lightning lasso. And all of these changes kind of seem like that as far as PvP goes, where if you can play where you're doing all of those things together instead of just only healing or only being disruptive or only being defensive, then you will have a lot of success. And that's kind of how it seems. Whereas right now, there are certain matchups and comps that you can play that allow Shaman to play that way, where you have to do everything and not just one thing to succeed. But right now, there are majority of the games you have revolve around only one or two playstyles, which is, let's say you're playing Boomkin DH on a Shaman or Boomkin something, Boomkin melee. A lot of what you're doing is basically just surviving. Like, you're healing and you're being disruptive, but that's all you're doing. You're not adding damage. You're not adding any damage. You're not adding any CC. You're not trying to be aggressive with purges or your knocks. You're simply playing around your Boomkin and being disruptive and trying to be very defensive. And like, eventually you can draw the game out to win. Kind of allowing your DPS to just do whatever they want because you're so defensive and so disruptive. And I think these changes, not only is it going to make Shaman really good, especially if they don't change some of the tuning, but it's going to be a class that, in my opinion, is going to be extremely fun to play. Like, the way I look at this is these changes make me think that Shaman is going to be kind of like how it was in Legion, with a little twist of Dragonflight, where you have extra utility, but in Legion you had to play different ways. You couldn't really just play one way. You had to play offensive, defensive, and you had to use all your disruption and utility in the same game. You couldn't just play one way where like you're running forever and you're just only riptiding and like using everything defensively and grounding defensively and like kiting on the pillar. You had to play the game in every aspect. And I think that's kind of what this is going to go back to, which is very, very exciting.